Is that centered? I don't know. Hey everybody, Ash here with Gents, and this is another one of my weekly lineup, weekly rotation videos where I go over each of the fragrances that I wore for each day over the past week. So this is going to be from December 8th through December 14th. And to be fair, on some of these days I wore more than one fragrance, especially if I was wearing something to test it out for a coming review or something like that. So I'm going to give you one fragrance from each day. This is the main fragrance that I wore, not the ones that I was wearing for reviews. So without further ado, let's jump into this. 7 days, 7 fragrances. Let's go. First up, December 8th. What was I wearing? I was wearing this guy, Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Eau de Parfum. So I also have Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Eau de Toilette. I've got to tell you guys, this one's nicer. This has leather, fir, tonka, and cardamom as some of the notes here. It is a legit deep green resinous leather fragrance. This is a little bit of a throwback type fragrance. It's very masculine, very rich. It's like the Eau de Toilette, similar in scent, just deeper and richer, and with a much more prominent leather note off my skin than the Eau de Toilette. And I really like leather notes in wintertime. You know, leather, tobacco, cinnamon, vanilla, those are some of my favorite notes. So if you're in the market for a resinous fir, you know, deep green leather type fragrance, definitely check this one out. I will tell you though, even at discounters, Bottega Veneta fragrances, they're pretty expensive. At FragranceNet right now, this fragrance is $70 for a 50 ml bottle, and that's with the 37% off. So this fragrance is not really a cheapie where I can tell you, oh, blind buy it, even if you don't like it, you're not out that much money. But if you get a chance to sample that one, go ahead and check it out. If you like leather fragrances, if you like fragrances with green notes, you know, like fir or pine, maybe right up your alley. So 1208 Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Eau de Parfum. It's gonna take me to December 9th. That day I was wearing this Ellis Oud Black Vanilla Absolute. Now the price tag on this fragrance has fluctuated up and down, up and down, up and down. When this first came out, it got hyped pretty heavily, and it was really hard to find a bottle. This fragrance was going for over $100 on eBay for a new bottle, and that was really about the only place you could find it. And then it started to pop up at discounters and that price dropped. Now this was back in the age of beauty spin, before it was even Notino, and now Notino is dead, at least as far as the US goes. But back then, Beauty Spin started to get these in stock, at the time around 40 bucks, and that's when I picked it up. I got it from Beauty Spin. I actually checked the email before I did this video. It was in 2016. So once this popped up at discounters, the prices on eBay started to drop. Eventually it hit like 30 bucks a bottle, and now it's hard to find again, and the price has gone back up. This is available right now on FragranceX for about $70, so that's pretty expensive considering when I got this, it was in the $30 to $40 range, and on eBay some people are asking even more than what FragranceX is. This one is one of my wife's absolute favorite fragrances. For whatever reason, she really likes it. It's a vanilla bomb, so if you don't like vanilla, probably not going to be for you. It's also got a little bit of a boozy undertone, a light tobacco, and a subtle touch of oud. So even though it has oud in really big letters right on the front of the bottle, it's not really an oud fragrance. That's not the main note here. It's a boozy vanilla more than anything else. And this also often gets compared to Spiritueuse Double Vanille by Guerlain, basically as like a cheap alternative to that fragrance. And it was a much better cheap alternative when you could pick it up for 30 bucks. At $70, not so much of a cheap alternative anymore. More like a moderately expensive alternative. All that being said, it is pretty close to that Guerlain, and if you like boozy vanilla fragrances, definitely check it out if the price drops back down again. One last thing on this fragrance, it actually has much better performance than I remember. I sprayed this on my jacket when I was wearing it, put my jacket on this morning, and I could still smell it. So 6 days later, it's still performing. Ellis Oud Black Vanilla Absolute. Gonna take me to the 10th of December. I was wearing an oud fragrance again. This one is a flanker to a really popular classic fragrance. It is Hugo Boss Bottled Oud. And guess what? This is another one from Notino. This one I actually forgot how good it is. I hadn't worn it in a long time, sprayed it on, and I was just like, oh hell, that is really nice. Why haven't I been wearing this? I did review this on the channel last year, I believe it was, so if you're interested in a more in-depth breakdown of this fragrance, go ahead and check that video out. It has oud, apple, sandalwood, and cinnamon. It's got that apple and cinnamon that's from Boss Bottled, that everybody knows from Boss Bottled, you know, that kind of apple pie scent. But it also has this fantastic smelling oud note, which is the centerpiece of this fragrance. So this is a flanker that truly takes the DNA of Boss Bottled and reformulates it into a really nice fall and winter oud fragrance. Easily one of the best oud designers in the game, and if you have this, it's gonna set you apart from what everybody else smells like. And as of this video, there's a really good deal on Boss Bottled Oud on FragranceNet. It's $32 after discount for a 50 ml bottle, but this one can be hard to find sometimes, so that's a really nice deal. It's not as prevalent now, but there's a time in the near past where every single designer house was pumping out oud fragrances just as fast as they could. And this is one that actually stood apart from the crowd, did something a little bit different, and honestly blew most of the other oud fragrances out of the water. At least the designer releases that were coming out. To me, it's a near masterpiece, Hugo Boss Boss Bottled Oud. Really, really nice. Takes me to December 11th. I was wearing just an absolute monster of a performer. This one, if you go heavy with the trigger, you're gonna choke out everybody in a 25-foot radius. Christian Dior, Dior Homme Parfum. For the past week here, it's been really cold. That's why I've been going with more heavy hitters that are really gonna cut through that cold weather. This one is another one that I've reviewed on my channel. I reviewed this one back when I lived at the old house when I barely knew how to use a camera, so it looks like complete crap. But if you wanna check that out, it's on the channel. And this one is just a leather and iris beast, and it's getting a lot harder to find. Apparently this one is readily available in Europe, but in the US, pickings are getting slim. It's difficult to find. It will occasionally pop up on a discounter for like $95 and then it sells out really quickly. This one starts with a little bit of that lipsticky iris that Dior Homme is known for, but it has a really prominent leather note, and as it dries down, some rose even comes in. If you really love the Dior Homme line, but you want something a little more masculine that just has ungodly performance, then see if you can pick this one up. This is one that I can really only wear in certain situations. It's not like an everyday wear type fragrance. Not one that I would wear to the office personally, just a little bit too strong for that. It screams sophistication, it screams class. It's pretty masculine as far as the Dior Homme line goes, but it's one that I really only wear at nighttime, in the cold, either on a date or a more formal situation. And I also don't go too heavy with it, again, just the performance on it. I do love this one though, and I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm not gonna sell it even if the prices keep creeping up. Just a really, really nice fragrance, great one to have in a collection. It's gonna take me to December 12th, 12/12. On that day, I was wearing one of my discontinued fragrances. I have a lot of them, I really like them. It's something I like to collect. This one is from the house of Armani. Real shame that they got rid of this one. It is Armani Attitude. This one obviously looks like a Zippo. It's a pretty cool bottle design. Just flips up like that, and then you've got the atomizer. I also have Armani Attitude Extreme. It's up here. Bottle design looks pretty much the same, only it has a black top. Yeah, you can't actually see it, but it's back there. This one is a patchouli coffee and lavender scent with some amber and cardamom for good measure. The opening and mid are more coffee, lavender, and vanilla, and the dry down is more patchouli and amber. Performance on this one is more so-so. It's not so great. The notes in it, you would think it's more powerful than it actually is. So while the note breakdown here trends more toward fall and winter, performance is more like something that you would expect to wear in spring and summer. But that can be positive because that means it's more wearable year-round. Online, Baldi Sereni's Secret Mission is mentioned as a cheap alternative to this fragrance. I had to tell you guys though, I've never smelled that one, so I can't really tell you if it's a legit comparison or not. That being said, the Baldi Sereni is only $20 or so it's not like it's all that expensive. This is one that my wife really, really likes. I used to wear it more regularly and I would pull compliments from it. I had a smaller bottle back in the day, and I picked this one up before the prices just skyrocketed. Really sucks that Armani discontinued this one, but I'm really glad I have it in the collection. It is Armani Attitude. We're in the final 2 days here. 12/13, I wore this guy. Just a real throwback. Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. So on this day, I just went full old school. I don't really know why, I just felt like doing it. So straight up, most of the younger guys out there, you are not going to be interested in this fragrance. It was released in 1973. So that should kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. It's an old school OG barbershop fragrance. And I'm actually thinking about buying this for my stepdad for Christmas this year. Maybe not this size, but the same fragrance. For whatever reason, he thinks it's a good idea to wear Axe body spray and Old Spice body spray. And that's pretty much it. And I don't mean just a little bit, I mean, you know, dousing yourself in Axe. So I was thinking maybe I get him an old school throwback barbershop fragrance and it'll be a little more suiting for him. At some point, you probably should outgrow the Axe. Or maybe I'll just get him Drakkar Noir. Everybody knows that's a lady killer. Anyway, back on track. This has oak moss, lavender, and rosemary, which should not be a surprise to you because this is a barbershop fragrance. That means it's going to smell similar to how a barbershop would smell. Clean and soapy, maybe a little bit metallic as well, slightly herbaceous. And this is a newer bottle of Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. It's not an old, vintage bottle, but it had some nuclear performance. I only sprayed that on twice, and I was good to go all day. I mean, it was projecting very, very well. I know some people have said that reformulations have made this one weaker, but not off my skin. And if you are a younger guy and you smell this fragrance, it will probably remind you of something that your father or grandfather used to wear. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, this is just a classic fragrance. Nowadays, Paco Rabanne is more well known for Pure Excess and all of the 1 million flankers, but this is the absolute first fragrance that Paco Rabanne released for men. Total barbershop classic, Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. Wore it just for the hell of it. It's gonna take me to the last day of this rotation list. It is 1214 Tiziana Terenzi Ursa. This has leather, oud, fruits, rum, tobacco, and patchouli. And this fragrance gets very often compared to By Kilian Straight to Heaven, which is one of my absolute favorite By Kilians, so that's not a bad thing. I get fantastic performance from this, last all day. The bottle looks really nice, so does the cap. Cap on these looks fantastic, and it's very, very heavy. This is like the Parfums de Marly caps, where it's just a very heavy, dense metal. If you take this and throw it at somebody and hit them on the head, you'll probably fracture their skull, and don't do that. And going back to Notino for like the third time in this video, Ursa and lots of other Tiziana Terenzi fragrances used to be available on Notino for really cheap. And I know that Tiziana Terenzi did not like that, but back in the day, you could get some really good deals on this house. This opens up a little bit harsh, but it dries down to a really nice sweet leather and tobacco with oud and patchouli. This is almost like you take By Kilian Straight to Heaven, make it a little more wild and adventurous. A little more in your face, a little stronger. And then you have Ursa. It gives you twice the amount of fragrance, 100 milliliters versus 50 milliliters in Straight to Heaven, and better performance at a better price. So that is the fragrance that wrapped up my week, 1214 Tiziana Terenzi Ursa. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for my rotation over the past week. Let me know what you've been wearing. Maybe I'll look through your comments and find some cool new stuff there. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys back again with next week with more of the stuff that I've been wearing for my collection. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.